So as we talked earlier, a bunch of people are running their actual professions on the dark net. There's legitimate legal departments, law enforcement, even banking and financial sector. A book you should check out. There's actually two. This book is called The Darknet. It's a couple years old. The author is Jamie Bartlett, and you can You can go check out his book. He kind of goes inside the digital underworld. He's written for Spectator and some other magazines. He's in publications. He's really great as being an open, non-judgmental, non-political journalist. I thought he collected quite a lot of information about legitimate professionals that are on the darknet and how they actually do research there. And then this other lady, her name's Eileen Ormsby. She's written Silk Road, which is the original kind of the original drug marketplace. She's really awesome. And then The Darkest Web. The Silk Road book's a little bit old. Obviously, you know the Silk Road's been shut down, but The Darkest Web is good. There's a chapter that's on the darkest, and I'm not sure that I'd caution anyone that's sensitive about some of the things you will read on that. So let's talk about like the rise of crypto. So this is like the hugest part that we want to talk about is how dark web and blockchain technologies became like a driving force for adoption of the dark web. Bitcoin and Monero. But there's also lots of other things to talk about. So if you think about the actual darknet, there's a financial aspect. All these transactions need to be executed, and both parties, so the buyer and the seller, need to be anonymous. That's the whole point of it. But as I mentioned before, there's always a middleman. Well, typically there's a middleman. There's an escrow person in the middle. They run the marketplace platforms, and they have quite a bit of knowledge about not necessarily specifically the traceability of the people, but they know what they're paying for because they get a cut, and they also know from the logins. Sometimes they know the actual pseudonames of the buyers. So they started with kind of this concept of making payments with web money, and it quickly turned into needing some banks for the dark web. And then we came to web money, and they call it dark wallets, which are like where you can hold money to exchange for goods and services on the dark net. These rapidly kind of turned into areas of attacking by law enforcement, and also people that are interested in money laundering and so forth. So they needed another way. There's actually quite a lot of stuff still going on with money mules and so forth, but basically the next step was web money. From web money and digital currency was towards blockchain and Bitcoin. You will see domains that have been seized due to illicit financials and all kinds of craziness. And that's what the people that are buying goods and services and the ones selling goods and services on the dark net are trying to avoid. So Bitcoin became the preferred methodology for payment in the dark net. It was the golden era for the dark net. And the idea is to keep the buyers anonymity. So Bitcoin, if you guys study blockchain and stuff, it's basically really cool. If you said that it's not perfect, obviously. There's a complex calculation. You put it in your wallet. You still have to get like regular currency, like currency that's in circulation. You have to get currency in to buy Bitcoin. So you have to be able to buy Bitcoin, and that's traceable to, like your banking accounts. And then basically, once you have a Bitcoin, it has its own Bitcoin number that's associated with it. And so at some point in time in the transaction, it's possible to trace the Bitcoin back to a person, either at the conversion of physical or, financial system monies, currency into Bitcoin, or at the purchase part of the Bitcoin. So then basically there was a need to be able to mix some things up. So one, you could actually buy Bitcoins online, and then, or you could go buy them face to face from people. They actually had a local Bitcoin solution where you could go in and go face to face and give cash to somebody that would do the transaction for the Bitcoin, and then they would put that Bitcoin in your dark wallet. And there was really a lot of money laundering going on there, lots. And there was also the people that were doing this were getting a cut, like any currency, trader, right? Somebody that's converting currency from one currency to another. So the other thing was to reserve like anonymity. I can't say it. Was used a thing called Bitcoin mixing. So basically, taking multiple sources of Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, but cryptocurrency money, and actually mixing it together. So there are pieces of different things that are in the wallet that can be used, and it's really difficult to then trace that back. So there's a couple cryptocurrency things you can look at: Monero, Bitcoin, Zcash. Zcash actually Zcash is a big funder and foundational member of the Onion Network, or the Tor. And so dark web, and aka Darknet, is like a really lucrative place for them. Dash and Verge, there's some new ones, and they're constantly coming out with new ones. But you'll see that not every cryptocurrency is the same. So for Bitcoin, it's not really private. It's not really fungible. It is decentralized. Monero is private, fungible, and decentralized. So, they're trying to be able to make it very difficult to trace the buyer, seller, and also the escrow person, and also pretty much any traceability back to the origination of that cryptocurrency. All right, now let's talk about some bad actors in Darknet. This is the last bit of our journey down the rabbit hole. So there's some really interesting characters, but this is coming now to, how is this really relevant to cybersecurity? And actually, there was an organization that on the Darknet that actually used Locky ransomware to launch and execute massive global cybersecurity attacks. And I guess maybe you can say some of these people have a conscience, like, they won't perpetrate activity on certain groups. They have a heart somewhere, I guess. And maybe that's goodwill. I don't know. No attacks on health institutions until full stabilization of the coronavirus. But yeah, these guys actually will perpetrate attacks. So the life of a hacker in the Darknet, there's a full operational life cycle. So this is enterprise crime. If you talk to the FBI, if you guys are part of InfraGard, a lot of these guys that do, it's all about money. It's about fraud. Typically, it's financial fraud, and it's just done via, extortion, financial fraud. It's done via cyber instead of like holding people up or, terrorizing them physically. They're holding their files ransom, right? So Locky is an example. These guys are enterprise criminals, so they're really good. In this enterprise crime organization, they have people that actually code, they have people that manage, they have financial managers and everything. Here's an example of, let's see, these guys were the Zeus, the Russian hacking group that perpetrated Zeus. You guys know Zeus is a very infamous banking Trojan. These guys launched DDoS attacks on bank platforms. And what they were trying to do is they wanted to see the time that it took for the approval cycle for certain transactions, and they wanted to force their transactions to go forward. There was a client side, a server side, a research guy, a DevOps team, a financial team that was responsible for moving deposits and money. So there's like a kind of a food chain, if you will, and this organized, enterprise kind of organized crime, cybercrime. There's a kingpin that's kind of running everything, and a lot of times these guys, well, they won't be what you necessarily expect. They could be super young, they could be super brilliant, and super nefarious. But they've got the whole thing going. They have an operations manager, they have a technical manager that's directing, like the coders and the exploit kits. They have a money operation manager, so they have a whole financial suite that's responsible for mules, tracking like their conversion, the money that they're bringing in, and then they have to be able to manage the money that they get, and that's exchangers and bit mixing service. So they use cryptocurrency mixing services. The operation manager is responsible for actually kind of traceability for the exploit kits that are launched and then how successful they are. There's quite a lot of stuff going on here. And then they have brokers that are actually selling, they're underground selling forums, and they're getting a cut of all of this. So it's pretty interesting. For the kingpin, think of Pablo Escobar, right, in cyber. Actually, I read a book called El Narco, and it changed my life forever. You guys should read it, about some of the major drug pins, and it's absolutely insane. But these guys want to remain anonymous. They don't want to be taken down. Even they're an enterprise, they're trying to hide their activities. They definitely do not want to be taken down, and they do quite a lot of R&D. Like this technical manager, their R&D is very, they're using agile development. Let's just say that. They also have people that that's all they do, is they develop phishing kits, exploiter kits, and hacking tools. These aren't the same necessarily as these people that are doing like hacker as a service. They could be though, but these are normally like the ones that are more of enterprise cybercrime. So for Locky, the ransomware was spread via spam or exploit kit. They used their team to develop their ransomware on the client side. They verified that it would be able to bypass AV engines. So they did a lot of testing, and basically part of their business model was to get as many computers infected as possible. The server side, which is the second part of the attack, was critical. They used ransomware operators and victims that would need to submit the transactions and communicate via the server side. So that's the CNC side. DevOps was doing domain generation, URLs, VPN, jump server. They use like their IT operation just like any IT operation in a legitimate enterprise corporation. The financial team was doing the Bitcoin, converting Bitcoin to cash. And basically that's kind of the way that this was done as an ability for enterprise cybercrime. They wanted high profile attacks with a lot of damage. So basically, this demonstrates kind of like, the enterprise cyber criminal organization. They have a coder, IT servers, QA, IT, and automation, DevOps, and finance, just like a corporation. So this is a Lockheed example and request for Bitcoin. Why didn't they request Monero? As like complexity, asking the victims to get Bitcoin. Uh, that person could be anywhere in the world, and Bitcoining is much easier. And they also had financial models based on Bitcoin. Well, that's it. That was down the rabbit hole. It's a wonder that you made your way out. So I do appreciate you guys joining, spending the time. Stay safe. If you guys do journey to the darknet, if you don't know what you're doing, come and find somebody that has done it and is doing it. Get Brave browser with the Tor plugin, or use like an Onion Pi device, which is a Tor device, to jump on the Onion network, and then there's nothing on your computer and no traceability to your computer. Or use a virtual machine. If you do it on your own, make sure you disable Java. If you are communicating to any sites, I personally don't create any pseudonames and don't log into any of them, because as soon as you do, there are going to be hooks that are going to be placed on you, and they use all kinds of relay mail and secure mail and things like that. But I wouldn't do it. Definitely not. And if you were going to do that, to do research, or if you're part of law enforcement, or journalist, make sure that you use a different pseudonym and account credentials for every place that you go. Make it unique every single time, because and you'll read, if you read the Ormsby book, you'll see that there's some stuff on the exit, the marketplace person that's doing escrow. They have occasionally actually extorted people because they were able to find out that this person logged into different marketplaces. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And then there's all the legitimate stuff, and you just want to be private and keep your privacy. So keep all that in mind. I appreciate it. At Checkpoint, we secure your everything. Thank you again. My name is Micki Boland. I look forward to seeing you on LinkedIn. Have a great day.